the whole thing happens with Georgiev, okay? And then all those made up complete BS stories start going out there. And I just want to give you an opportunity and look, talk about what you are comfortable talking about it. But, with the Keandre Miller stuff, and it was all such bullshit. Like, it was completely fabricated. But I want to hear you, an hour ago we sat with Brett Pesci, who sat there and gushed over you. And that episode is going to release before this episode, and said you are one of his best friends in the world. And there has never been a guy that he's cared about more on a team than you. He said he's losing sleep over the fact that you're not signed right now. He said that because he can't understand it, because he knows how good you are. So talk a little bit about this New York thing, because I just want people who don't actually know and who think that there was a Keandre Miller story to this to know that it had to do with some lazy goaltender that you had a confrontation with, which is completely normal at that level.
Yeah, I think obviously there's way more to it than just the incident with Georgie there at the end of the year. I don't know if I'm sure Ranger fans remember, but my first game of the season that year, I'm coming off a good year. I got a 2-year extension in New York, and then we had first game of the year that year. We were playing against the Isles, and I got what I thought was a pretty weak call late in the third period. Not even late, early in the third period. Excuse me. We're down 4-0 to the Islanders on the opening game.
It was a rough game.
Brutal game, and brutal way to start off after a long layoff and training camp, yada yada yada, whatever. And I take a holding penalty on Barzell. I disagree with the call. I slammed the door in the box, and I get another 2. So I go from 2 to 4-minute penalty. I don't believe they score if I'm remembering right, but I come back to the bench, and David Quinn was the head coach, and Quinny sat me. Anyway, Quinny and I disagreed about it, and that's all besides the point. I wind up sitting the next 2 games. So the season starts off a little bit rocky, unfortunately, and that was due to my fault. So I wasn't handling that very well at the time. And then you fast forward a little bit and actually rewind a little bit. First, that was during the end of the election, president transition, and I had gotten in some trouble about some questionable tweets I made that that offended some people, offended season ticket holders, all that kind of stuff, which once again totally understood, and deleted Twitter. Said I was leaving for I think I was leaving for Parlay. I don't think I made the Parlay account. I'm not sure. Maybe I did. But I wasn't actively on it, and that was, causing up a stir. So you get an unnecessary stir that was, caused by myself, and we get off to a rocky start in that season too, right? So between sitting after taking the penalty and taking the second penalty, which was stupid, now you're in a bit of a bind here with management, with the staff, whatever, and then you fast forward to the Georgie incident, which was probably the least worrisome incident for them out of all of them. But I guess just the icing on the cake. And as far as to go into the Georgie story, it's happened 8 million times, I'm sure. My fault, once again. I don't think people don't realize that I'm very self-conscious or not self-conscious, conscious of the things that I've done or started. Or
Self-aware.
Yeah, self-aware. So the Georgie thing, it was a tough game. He struggled. I struggled in the game. We were playing against Pittsburgh. Coming down the tunnel, I yelled at Georgie, make a bleeping save. 100%. So if I didn't yell at Georgie wasn't going to turn around and try to do anything. That's a fact. So obviously I started. I wasn't thinking what was going to happen next was going to happen. That was a surprise to me. But Georgie was running hot after the game, struggled in the game, right? And he turns around and fires a headbutt at me. So he got a goalie mask on. I only got the player visor. So I get a little, my face cut on the side of my face. So I can't. There's nothing really to hit him. So I just hit him like quick.
Oh, you got him with a stick?
But it's on the goalie mask, right? Yeah. So it goes a little bit into the locker room. Nothing really happens, though. There was no, nobody's going to let guys fight in there. The guys break it up, yada, yada, yada. It ends.
I mean, that stuff happens in practice every other day.
They don't locker box in the NHL?
There's real fist fights in practice. And, so the stories start coming out. The next day I wasn't, we're told, don't come to the rink. Georgie, don't come to the rink. Tony, don't come to the rink. And I had a feeling something was going to come there. I thought I was going to get traded, to be honest with you. And I wound up getting put on release waivers, 12 o'clock. Elliot Friedman broke the news to me. I didn't even know yet. And I seen through Elliot Friedman on Twitter that I was on waivers. And, to be honest with you, it wasn't a total shock that I was going to be out of there at that point, because the season started off so rocky, and a lot of it being my fault. But the final incident, like I said, probably just icing on the cake. But what it turned into, what people wrote about it, how it came out after that. And me and Georgie were fine. We weren't the best of buddies, never were the best of buddies. But I think if we both would have came back to the rink on Tuesday, let's just say we had Monday off,
put it behind you.
I think everything would have been Georgie comes up to me when we played the following year in Carolina, shaking my hand, hugging me, saying hello. I would say hello to him if I'd seen him. It's just the way hockey guys are. You guys know how it is.
Yeah.
And so that was honestly the least of my worries, that incident there. But I guess it was the most public thing that came out that blew up. And then what bugged me the most was the stories that came out after about Keandre. That idiot wrote that story. It was so stupid. But what happened though was that those stories trended so much and had so many clicks and views, and people are going to believe it when they see it, right? That's just the way social media is now. It's the power of the media.
Well, the media is the most. They're the most. They're the most dishonest.
Including me,
people.
Right?
They're the most dishonest people in the world. I mean, we see what's happening in our world today. There is not a more dishonest group of people than media people.
Yeah, and people ran with this story. That one bugged me because that was so. And I would never share a text message from a guy, but I talked to Keandre after it, and I said, hey, listen, don't read any of this garbage. Yeah. I said you got a big future ahead of you, a great young player. Best of luck to you. Yada yada yada. It was a pleasure getting to know you. And he texted me back something real nice, and there was nothing I'll ever share. We'll ever repeat on here. But me and him both knew that the stories they were writing were total garbage, and it was just nice to be able, to talk to him about it and put it to bed. What was I going to do? I'm not going to ever screenshot a guy and say, look at he sent me this. That's not why I was saying.
Yeah, and you shouldn't.
That's so weird.
You had guys like Brady Shea and Kevin Shattenkirk in that locker room, and you had all sorts of veterans, and those guys, man, they would all have your back, and they all continue to have your back, just like Pesci did an hour ago. And when you start asking guys, veterans, 15-year veterans, Hall of Famers, All-Stars, Olympians, and they all tell you the same thing, it's like, well, geez, maybe all the people that played with this guy, maybe they actually know what they're talking about, and maybe the blue check brigade, the writers, maybe they're the ones who are not correct, and they're not correct in this situation.
Yeah, it just blew way out of control. Like I said, that was one of them weird years. There was nothing going on, no fans in the rink, so everyone was looking for something big. I guess we gave it to them, and but yeah, the stories that they just bugged me. The stories that came out, they were so far fetched and almost like viciously made up. I don't know who could come up with such a goofy story like that I stole his first goal puck. Insane things. And the crazy part was it had a big effect on what happened the rest of that year. And I obviously went unclaimed, got bought out that summer, and then kind of restarted there in Carolina, and things got back on the right track for a while. But it was just, to me, one of them situations where if I would have done the right thing from the start, from beginning of training camp, whatever it was, none of that probably would have happened. But it did. The only part I regret is what happened after, how out of control it got, that we weren't able to get ahead of it in a like an interview like this. Almost we weren't able to get ahead of it in a quicker way where people could have got to the truth. We kind of just tried to stay back and just wait things out, and that didn't work very well.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Saravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.